So I recently had a client reach out to me and ask me to do a market analysis on their house. They were thinking about putting their house on the market, and I had actually spoken to them 2 years ago when they initially wanted to sell their house, but after doing a market analysis, they decided that it really didn't make sense for them at that time to sell, so they decided to hold off. And so in doing this new market analysis, I found some really cool information that I thought I would share with you, because we've all been hearing about how hot the market is and how active it is and multiple offers and selling in days, but there's no really context for comparison other than it wasn't like that 2 years ago. And so I was like, you know what, I wonder what the numbers were back when we initially wanted to sell. So in doing so, this is what I found. There is currently half the active listings that there was back in 2018 at this point in time. And so what this means is that back in 2018, a buyer had a little over 4,000 listings to choose from. This is all of El Paso, right? And so typically buyers have certain areas that they're interested in, certain areas that they have eliminated. And so this is why a specific market analysis for your property is so important. But to keep it simple, let's do, in El Paso, a buyer had 4,000 listings, all price points, all areas. Today, that same buyer, who let's say is open to all price points in all areas, only has a little bit over 2,000 listings available to choose from. So that's a little over half of the listings in comparison. Next big thing is the list sold price, and this is important because the median list price has gone up by 28,000. So the median list price back in 2018 was 172. Today we're at 199. The median sold price was 160. Today that is 180. So prices are going up. Prices are in fact going up. For a 2-year period, that is a huge increase. And if you are on the market, you have probably experienced that. Another thing that I want to say is that depending on where somebody bought, like I had a client who bought in Garden Park Estates when it first opened up, and in a matter of 3 years they have been able to increase the value of their home enough to sell it and make a decent money out of it. So that is aside the point. Let's come back to this. So in months of inventory, or what we call absorption rate, back in 2018 we were over 5.5 months. Today we're looking at 2.86 months, so under 3 months versus 4.6 months back in 2018. What this means is that if we were to stop bringing on new listings and the listings were selling at the same rate, how long would it take for us to run out of inventory? And the easiest way to say this is that the demand is high. Sold to list ratio has gone up too, but not drastically, and that is because it is an average. So we have those outliers again, skewing the numbers. And now that we're talking about outliers, the days on the market. So the average days on the market were 121 days. Today we're at 75 days. But I think a more accurate description of this is the median days on the market. So when you have an average, you also are calculating the outliers in this number. But with the median is the most common, not the most common. The median is the center point of all the listings that you have. And back then we were looking at 2 months. Today it's 18 days. How does this communicate to you whether it's a good time or not? Is that back then you were expected to have your house on the market for 2 months, which means that you had to have it in show ready condition, be willing and able to vacate the house whenever we had showing scheduled. Today, you can expect it, if your house is priced right, to sell your house in days. And then lastly, and this is just a side note because I should have done this for every price point, but it was going to be an overload of numbers, were the new listings in a certain price point. So if you are a buyer that is looking to buy, let's say, an investment property of between 80 and 140, back in 2018 you had over 2,200 listings available, new listings available in this price point. Today we have 1,483 listings in this price point, so there's not a lot to choose from, which means either you have a shorter needs list or you go up in price a little bit, right? And I just thought that was cool to point out, in case you're like, well, back in 2 years I was looking at houses in the same price point and there were a lot nicer homes on the market, and today the houses are $20,000 higher and they're in worse condition than they were 2 years ago. Well, this is why. So if you are buying or selling and you need some guidance and some professional advice, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you're enjoying this lovely weather as much as I am.